You're watching Tereak Talks, and here we are about to discuss each Premier League's transfer window, and we're going to be using a tier list to grade it. Let's get into it. Wagwan, everyone. I hope you're doing well. See, I will never lose that, will I, Ed? But here I am. Well, go on, everyone. Hope you're keeping well. I've had a good day. I've had a busy day. Sorry, guys, for keep pushing the time back on the stream if you're watching live. But look who I'm with, people. The wonderful, my amazing co-host, which a lot of you say I should, Ed needs to ditch the sidekick in me for this channel. Ed Talks, Ed Min, Nista, this channel. That's exactly what he does. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, good, thank you. Looking forward to doing this. We've got it today and tomorrow. We're busy guys at the minute.
Exactly. The last time you was on this channel, what happened?
I ate some kind of disgusting hot gummy bear thing. So
yeah, you did. For your forfeit.
Yep.
Well deserved.
Yeah, I've got to redress the balance starting from next week when we start the preview show again.
Definitely. So, guys, stay tuned for that. As you can see, content rolling back up on the channel. Second stream in a week. This has been something abnormal in the past last month or two. But yeah, guys, the season's coming back. It's one of those periods in the season which, I don't enjoy it anywhere near as much as when the football's actually been playing, where we can talk about it. There's a lot of transfer talk, whereas now at this point, there has been transfers that have been completed, and we'll discuss if there's more to be done for certain clubs. But I wouldn't say the majority, because there's still a lot that happens later on in the window. But we've seen, good bits and bobs, and we kind of see how each squad is going to take shape, of course, with some late arrivals for some teams. But yeah, how do you feel about this part of the season, bro?
Yeah, well, it's come around a little bit quicker, hasn't it, because of the Winter World Cup, so it's a bit better than normal. But this is kind of the in-between part, isn't it? You're getting excited. You're doing your FPL team that you're going to change like 7 or 8 times by this time next Friday. Well, by this time next Friday, you need to have it locked in, because it's the first game. Is it the first game next Friday?
You are right.
Yeah.
So we finish. We're starting it off.
Yeah, it's the TTF versus EEF derby, isn't it? That's what we've got next week: Eagle-eyed football, and then Tereak Talks. But it's all right. But maybe mine's a little bit dampened, and we'll get to my team at some point. But the fact that my club's not bought anyone and let pretty much everybody go, yeah,
exactly,
it makes it harder to enjoy it.
It's true. But you know what, guys, in the chat, everyone, we're going to get into you now. Let us know what your thoughts on this little period in the season. Well, just before the new season starts, pre-season, loads of transfer talk, not really much going on. But now we're at the end of pre-season. We have a lot more to talk about. I think this is where the content will roll back and we can be natural for you guys. And you know what? I'm glad that we're here with you. So big up Realist, who was first in the comments. Hope you're keeping well, my brother. Big up to yourself. And you know what, Realist, he has a very good stream and something that we're both kind of doing. Stay tuned for that. But if you want to go check it out, go check out Realist's Twitch channel right there. We've got David in the place as well. Hope you're keeping well, David. Second in here. Hope you're keeping good. Thanks for joining. Sean, all the way from Caribbean in Jamaica, my brother. Hope you're keeping well, Sean. Big up to yourself. I'm doing good. Big up David again. And then we got Mr. 200 in the place. Mr. 200, if you don't know, he was the 200th subscriber to the channel. So we just got to keep that rolling for now. Hope you're keeping good. Good evening to yourself. And he's saying good evening to yourself, Ed?
Yeah, get that leg elevated, Paul.
Oh, what, has he had an injury?
Yeah, a bit of an injury. Got a bit of a dodgy knee going on. So yeah, get better and get rested.
Rice. Well, if it's in your knee, Paul, what I do suggest is you put heat on it, because that part of you, if it's within the knee, within the meniscus or ligaments, it doesn't really get a lot of blood flow. Whereas, if it was a muscular issue, so if it's in your quad, then you would put a lot of ice. But yeah, get some heat around it as well. Big up to yourself, Mr. 200. Graham in the place. Graham the Don Jones, he's saying that Arsenal will Arsenal finish above first? Spurs, sorry, above first. I wish
first.
that was even possible. Above Spurs, and be honest, lol. We'll see. We'll get into that next week.
That's next week. That's next week.
That's next week's Graham. I can't say too much. We got Pax. I haven't seen you for a while, but I hope you're keeping well, bro. Says can't stay this stream. Been very busy. I know. I'm sure you have, but you missed Pax definitely, even in the Discord server, bro. But you got to do you. Keep doing you, bro. And we're here. You know we're always here for you. We like that. We like the rebounds. When the girls broke your heart, that's what we are. We'll be here ready for you. Manchester United transfer window 6 out of 10. Not addressed key areas fully. CDM striker.
That's fair.
But some good business done. Yeah, we'll take that into consideration, Pax. Big up M in the place as well. Big up Munzi, who was on his channel yesterday talking. It was a lot of Arsenal, Spurs, and Liverpool chat. Big up to yourself. Big up Ravi in there as well, who was also in the chat. How you boy losing 2-1 to it's all right. It's
Pre-season. It's pre-season.
A lot of seconds.
Pump the brakes.
Exactly. It's all right, Ravi. We'll see you next week. Sean saying, are you guys ready for us? Because we've gotten even stronger. So have we, Sean. So have we. But this is what we're going to get into. We can't talk too much about the transfers because that's the whole point of this video.
Stick around.
Exactly. Listen to Ed. Stick around. Social in the place as well. Hello, boys and girls. Big up yourself, Social. Hope you're keeping good too. And I think that's everyone in for now. Anyone else watching later, make sure you do get in the comments. And if you are new, definitely, because we always keep an track on the comments. If I'm not, then certainly Ed is, and he's telling me, we got someone new here, Tereak, in the TTF. So yeah, you're more than welcome. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. And make sure you hit that like button if you do enjoy it. And you can make that decision as we're about to start right now. So this is the tier list. It's a little bit different to what you can see or what you saw on the thumbnail before you click this video. And yes, it kind of follows the same concept in terms of complete. It means that this team has completed the transfer window. They've completed all their business. They don't maybe have the odd one transfer in or out. Remember, guys, it's not just about transfers in, it's about transfers out as well. So if they've lighten the load, balance the squad a little bit better, we'll be taking that into consideration. So remember that when making your decision. Almost there. It's pretty self-explanatory there. So almost there. Just maybe a few more signings, maybe more than just the one or two, three altogether in terms of ins and outs, I would say. So not 3 signings to be made. That's still quite a lot, but 3 players that one that needs to come in and 2 maybe need to go. Decent. I mean, it's a good start. We've still got a month left until the window shuts, but there's still business that needs to be done for this side. More to be done. It's like, you've started off, you've given us a little bit, but there's still a lot more to be done if you're going to have a successful season. And panic stations, you kind of guess what that means as well. We'll be talking to Ed. Maybe his team is in there. We'll see. If you don't know, Ed is a Wolves fan. So yeah. Panic stations, your club hasn't done enough, maybe the one, or, not getting rid of players or whatever. Or if they have got rid of a player, they haven't replaced them, whatever. You tell me, people. Let me know if your club deserves to be in panic stations, or are they incomplete, or anywhere else in between. Let us know. But I think I've gone through it all. Have I, Ed? If anyone's got any questions in the chat, but have I covered it all there, Ed?
Yeah, no. I think we've got a few more comments in the chat, but yeah, I think we've cracked on with it. I think it'll be interesting because the best thing about the TTF is the fact that it's a diverse fan group out there. So I'm sure people will be chucking in their thoughts on where their teams actually are.
It's true. I mean, we could do one for that Social. Nicholas Bentner got his Paddy Powell pants out. Was it that World Cup?
Yeah, Paddy Powell, and had the Freddie Ljungberg famous advert when he was in his Calvins.
Gary Lineker as well.
Yeah, Gary Lineker.
What he did in his pants.
his match of the day stuff. But I think we're struggling after those 2 or 3. To be fair,
Gary Lineker could be in twice, for what he did in his pants in one game as well. So, hey, social, good content idea. Keep them coming. Pause. Big up Tereak and the chilly man Ed says vibes. Oh man.
Fully recovered.
Big up vibes, man. Big up vibes. Look at his avatar, man.
I know.
Concentrated. Oh man. By the end of the video, big up yourself, Matt. He says, by the end of the video, Everton will have signed another 7 players they don't need. So this video will be null and void. Still liked it, though. Big up yourself. Lol, Everton, says Sean. Social laughing, Freddie Lundberg, whatever. Yeah. I think
It's
we're close. Yeah.
Close enough.
You are close. But let's get it started now. Do you know what? Well, he's not, I'm about to say he's a guest. He's not really a guest, but I'll let you have a go first, Ed. We're going to be talking about Leeds.
Okay.
Talk to me about Leeds, bro. What have you made of their transfer window?
Well, I like how they got their ins done nice and early.
Yeah.
They have signed a few players that have come with a little bit of some kind of background. That they've raided Red Bull, haven't they, both Salzburg and Leipzig, for their players. The big loss for them, of course, though, is the Rafinha, Calvin Phillips.
Yeah. That
duo, the best 2 players you could argue for that team, both gone. That kind of adds a little bit of spice to whether or not, because they've had a lot of ins. I'm just looking at their ins. They brought in 2, 4, 7 players in.
Yep.
And they've lost of note. The only real players that I know there, other than a few sort of youngsters, is obviously Calvin Phillips and Rafinha. Their ins look relatively impressive. Tyler Adams comes with a good reputation. The 2 players from Salzburg, the German, Austrian leagues, their manager is all over, isn't he? He's fully aware of what they can do. So the fact that, he's bringing in players he knows, the board's obviously backing him. 7 players being brought in. Only one of them's been on a free. They're not afraid of splashing the cash, unlike my club. But it's the Calvin Phillips Rafinha thing for me on theirs is the big kicker. Some of their players, they've addressed some of the issues they've got, but that is the backbone of their midfield and their star attacking player gone. That's huge. That's huge for me.
Yeah, I understand. I think you are right. And, in terms of stability, we know the level that Calvin Phillips and Rafinha would have given Leeds. Very good one at that, which is why they have made moves to Manchester City in Calvin Phillips and Barcelona. And he's already started with a bang. Have you seen his goal against London in pre-season?
Oh, yes.
You see, this is what I wanted, this guy. But you know what? We're not going to talk about.
Yeah. Matt will be all over if you start talking about how much you wanted Rafinha. So move on.
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of the ins, you mentioned that they raided Red Bull. By raided, they signed 3 players, 2 from Salzburg, 1 from Leipzig. Brendan Aronson is their biggest fee that they had paid on the 21-year-old American international. Someone that I know within the community, Moss has talked highly of. He had a very good season at Salzburg, and he's the next one coming through in terms of that prodigy. And he's 30 million, around the 30 million pounds mark.
It's a big fee.
It's a big fee indeed to pay for a 21-year-old for Leeds as well. Yeah. And then Luis Sinisterra, who, by the way, I've seen a few little bits in terms of his compilation, and his stats in Eredivisie was very good last season. I will get you that. But before I do, in terms of his playing style, very direct, someone who can replace Rafinha in terms of his quality on the pitch. So in 76 Eredivisie appearances, he got 20 goals and 19 assists. That's not too bad. So that's 39 goal contributions in 76 games. That's not too bad at all. And that's over one and a half goal one goal contribution every 2 games, isn't it?
Yeah. So, he's involved. Yeah. Let's say.
That's good, but we have to remember, pinch of salt when we talk about their Eredivisie there. Yeah. But the rest of it for Leeds is talking about Rasmus Christensen, who was linked with Dortmund, by the way, Ed. He was the right back that they were looking to get, but he decided to go to Leeds instead. Tyler Adams, who was linked with Arsenal at one point last season in the summer, when was looking for a defensive midfielder with versatility, someone who can cover in a number of positions. He has come up. What was you going to say, bro?
Is he the I don't know much about him other than what you read in the papers. Is he the Calvin Phillips replacement then?
I think
you're talking CDM.
What Leeds are trying to do, they're trying to replace Calvin Phillips in not just in one player, but in two. And I think that's what Tyler Adams, he gives you the tenacity, the aggression in the challenges. And then Mark Roca, the one from Bayern Munich, the former Espanyol player, he's the one who's is the passer. He's someone who's very much more technical in the midfield, where he can move the ball, is a good ball progressor from deep, but he's not as mobile as Calvin Phillips. Whereas Tyler Adams, I would say, on the opposite end, he's probably more mobile than Calvin Phillips, but it's not like Calvin Phillips lacked mobility in midfield, but he's more of a tough tackler and energetic rather than someone who's going to get the ball down, get it playing. Do you know kind of coming from? So I think they've kind of replaced the qualities in two. Sinisterra, he looks a little bit more of a replacement for Rafinha, and Aronson is just an improvement in the squad. Any other signings that they brought in? Darko Gyabi from Manchester City's under-23s for 5.2 million, which is it's a decent amount for someone that's 18.
Yeah, I've never heard of him either, so it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and do you know what? And the reason I mention this transfer, because guys, when we're going to go through it, we're going to see quite a bit of these young players leaving for like quite a bit of money because of the new changes in the transfer market with the loan move. So typically this would be a loan, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But whereas Man City can't loan all their assets now, they're going to have to try and find creative ways by selling them and then probably getting buybacks or sell-on clauses or whatever. But what would you rank their transfer window so far there, Ed? Because I'm looking at that. They've made a lot of signings, still not signed a striker, which is probably what they needed when I looked at Leeds last season without Patrick Bamford. Anything else? A left back potentially, because Firpo wasn't great, and Stuart Dallas is missing a large portion of the season.
Most of the season he's out for, isn't he? After that injury, I think 6-7 months, isn't it? I think he's out for still. Yeah, I read the other day. So that's you're talking well after the World Cup before he's due back. I was going to say decent because I think that lack of the centre forward Bamford, came sort of out of nowhere. Fulfilled his potential that he's been shown since he was at Chelsea as a kid and all the other low moves a couple of seasons ago. But last year wasn't there. And without Rafinha, you could argue Leeds would not have managed to scrape out of it. They've done their business early, which is why I don't think it's more to be done. You could argue maybe almost there because they've got they haven't sort of gotten rid of. They've obviously lost Phillips and Rafinha, but Rafinha clearly was going because of where they ended up last season. They've got a good chunk of money for Calvin Phillips. They've reinvested. They seem to have reinvested well. They've been able to buy two players that potentially can fill his position. Also gives you that slightly bigger squad depth. So I'm going to go with decent. I would say decent.
I think you're right.
Almost there.
I think you're right in saying that. So Ed's popping them into decent, guys. If you completely outnumber us in the comments, we will consider changing it. Socials agreeing with you there, Ed saying decent. Then we've got Matt saying Leeds to be relegated. Wow. I think that's a big shout from Matt there. We'll get into that next week as well, people, before I don't want to give too much of my thoughts because I'll be giving too much away. And you know what? Content, I need to hold. I've got plenty of content coming. Don't you worry about that. Bite my tongue. But big up yourself as well, King, in the place. Thanks for joining on Twitch and on YouTube. My brother every single time. And he's saying T is the new tier list guru. I like it. Big up yourself, King. Hope you're not feeling too bad after yesterday's defeat for your Swedish ladies. Martin, look at him. Martin's in here. Somewhere say Rafinha.
I'm pretty sure he only came in when someone started talking about Rafinha. It's like he was waiting for it.
What do you mean? Where you're saying Leeds hijacked Arsenal? Huh?
I don't know.
Mr. 200's agreeing with you saying decent as well. So yeah, following that line. And look at JC in the place. He's announced us a transfer for us that we're going to talk about when we get to CPFC. Big up yourself, JC. Thanks for letting us know about that, about Chris Richards. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And you know what? Oh, yeah, I won't say too much again. Hold on, people. I'm trying. But hey, can't be as bad. You see, another one. We'll hold back on it, Matt. It's a great comment. But we'll get into it for sure. So we'll go on with the next club now, and it's another L. And this transfer window has probably been an L for this club in Leicester City. It's not looking good, as a certain someone would say. It's not looking good, bruv. But with Leicester City, they haven't. I think they're the only club in England, literally in England, that haven't made a transfer, a signing. And that's quite bad, given the situation they were in. They've had one player arrive, and that's on transfer mark. They've had Dennis Pratt come back from a loan. They've had no departures either, apart from Ademola Lookman going back to Leipzig and releasing Jakupovic. He was a 37-year-old goalkeeper. Yeah.
And there's a couple of youngsters that have been released, and somewhat another youngster's gone to Crew, I think it was, that I read earlier when I was doing a bit of research. Oh, really? But they have done absolutely nothing.
I think what's come about is that they're in financially they're in a bit of financial bother. I think it's more to do with fair play or something, or regarding those lines more than actual like financial issues, but their owner. And we've seen this with a lot of clubs. I mean, clubs who have owners in Asia as well. That since the pandemic, they've really reeled back in on transfers. Whether it's the Chinese owners who own most of the clubs in the West Midlands, who own Inter Milan as well, and some clubs in the Serie A. Maybe this is where they're trying to hold back, and the key departure that it looks like could be possible before the window shuts is Yuri Tielemans, so maybe a transfer.
And there's an awful lot of rumours. Martin and Jordan have brought it up about Schmeichel.
Oh yes, Casper going to Nice, linked with Nice as well. So it's big change there. So there's some really key players. JC saying big man thing. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not. Martin losing their best goalkeeper and no signings, nearly be relegation candidates if they don't cop on. It's a big. I think that and Brendan Rodgers just being very basic. Yeah, they're going to struggle again if they don't bring people in. Exactly. What's your thoughts on it? Because we know that they suffered with a lot of injuries last season, Ed. Do you think that the fact they've not brought anyone in is something to worry about? Or is it just that, okay, if they can keep a lot of these players fit, they should be fine?
But what if they don't, is my answer to that.
It's true.
So we saw last year that the year before last, they kicked on, they won the FA Cup. They had a good run in the league. Towards the end, they dropped off, but a lot of people would argue that's because of the FA Cup run. Last year, they, Ndidi, Johnny Evans, I'm sure there's Vardy injured. There's probably other people I'm missing out, quite obviously. And the people that came in did not fill the gaps, and they've not tried to address the squad depth. So whilst you could argue that their, starting 11, 2 or 3 people off the bench are, mid-table or better players, because we've seen that. Another few injuries to key players again, and they're in the shtuck again. We saw last year that Soyuncu got found out a little bit. He came in a couple of seasons ago, was an FPL differential for a lot of people, cheap. They were keeping clean sheets. Schmeichel had some dips in form last year that I don't think they've addressed anything at all. And they haven't even lightened the load on their wages. You're talking about them being in financial restraints. They haven't even sort of offloaded some of those players that maybe are injured on the fringes that they don't need anymore. They haven't sold on some of those players they brought in last year that maybe didn't improve them. They haven't cashed in yet on players like Fofana, who a lot of people are interested in. It might take them having to sell one of their better players to reinvest in 3 or 4 at this rate.
I hear what you're saying totally. And do you know what? With Brendan Rodgers, when you're talking about them last season, a massive point for him was Leicester were one of the worst teams in the league, conceding goals from set pieces. And that's because Brendan Rodgers, he said himself, we just don't have the players who are aggressive enough. There's nothing we can do on the coaching or on the training ground in getting these players better at dealing with aerial balls, just apart from them. So the fact that you haven't replaced any of them or brought in anyone of any physicality, whether it's a striker or midfield, it doesn't really matter when you're defending set pieces because everybody does. So it's a weird decision for Leicester. And I always think stagnation in football and in life is regression because the world moves around you and so does the transfer market is so quickly. So right now, where would you put Leicester, Ed? I'm thinking for myself, is it quite panic stations? No, I'd say more to be done. But let me know if you think it is panic stations, and you've got those of you in the chat.
Well, Martin said panic stations, and I think that's where he's at with it. Maybe panic stations could also be sort of where they're throwing money at stuff as well. I know Jordan's put down here about Forest. And maybe they're at panic stations for buying too much. But yeah, for me, I think more to be done because at the minute, panic stations for me, I would say that's a team that we believe have the money to throw around. Leicester don't. Yeah. So there's more to be done on ins and outs for them, I think, for them to move on. So I would say more to be done. Because the panic stations, you could, again, like I said, you could argue that if they keep hold of Tielemans, Schmeichel, Vardy's fit, Ndidi's fit, Johnny Evans is fit, they'll be fine. They'll be fine again. But there's a lot of ifs and buts. Some of those players are getting more and more injured and getting older. Two of those players are over 34, I believe, Vardy and Evans. So it's asking a lot to keep them fit for the whole season. So I would say more to be done on panic stations. I'm probably going to say more to be done because I don't think they have the money to become a team that could go to panic stations, maybe.
There you go. So more to be done then. That's what we're agreeing with. The guys in the chat, Martin says panic stations.
I can see why, though. I can see why.
Yeah, definitely. I can see why because it's regression. And I guess if you're a Leicester fan, that's not what you want to be doing. Like after two brilliant seasons previous to the one that we just had, where they were just on the edge, where they won an FA Cup. They should have qualified for the Champions League on both occasions. So, yeah, it's one of those ones. And this is why, guys, the Champions League is so important. I will get into it as an Arsenal fan because I remember Graham talking about it yesterday. Says that I will take an FA Cup over fourth. I can hear that. I can hear your views on that. But if you want Arsenal to get back to potentially challenging for the league, the Champions League is more important at the moment for Arsenal. So, yeah. But I hear what you're saying. Leicester will remember winning the FA Cup, just like if Ed's Wolves went to the FA Cup final. And if Ed had the choice of winning the FA Cup or being in the Champions League, I think Ed would take the FA Cup. Would you, Ed?
I don't know. Hearing the Champions League music, change it to Europa League. I'll take the FA Cup, but Champions League, no, I think that's a bit too much. Hearing the Champions League music at the Molyneux, that's different. That's different. That is.
It's interesting, but it's one of those ones as well, Ed. If you're thinking about it, Champions League, it'd be good to get there, and Wolves are in the Champions League, but an FA Cup would be with you for history, and if when you're looking back at that, you've got something fiscal.
I still think I'd pick Champions League. I think I'd pick Champions League. I think I'd pick for my club. For Wolves to get to the Champions League is even more unbelievable than getting to the FA Cup.
Winning the FA Cup. So you're saying that, right? If you made it into the Champions League, but that was one season out of and you don't make it again within the next 10 years.
All right, now you change. Yeah, but this is the
this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm saying the Champions League's important for Arsenal because the Champions League will get you into the Champions League again because it will get you a certain caliber of player. Whereas the FA Cup for Arsenal, it won't. The FA Cup won't. We've seen it. Arsenal won the FA Cup multiple times. We've still not been able to attract the world's best talent, or the highest, the world's best talent in your likes of Haaland and whatnot, because we're not at the pinnacle of European football.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas what I'm saying in terms of Wolves' case, and for a side that isn't expected to win a trophy, it would be like it's kind of looking at that and saying, right, if we get into the Champions League, we know we're not going to do anything anyway. And we're probably just because of the monopoly of football, we're probably not going to stay there.
but for the Champions League money, the difference that would make to the potential for Wolves to do better and attract a few more players that maybe then we'd sell on for more money if we didn't do it again. For me, I just think the Champions League's too high of a bar for you to, like, if you offer me the FA Cup or the Europa League, I'm taking the FA Cup. Champions League is different. That's like the promised land that you're offering there, like to play against the top clubs and not in a pre-season friendly.
Interesting. Hey, it's interesting. Martin agrees with you. He says Champions League all day. Tereak.
I think you have to look at it. You're looking at as an Arsenal fan that has seen Champions League football. Like for myself and Martin, like Martin's younger than me. He won't remember.
He didn't see that. Yeah.
No, I don't mean the European. I mean like when they were when I was a kid, they played against Inter Milan, beat them in a Premier in a penalty shootout in what was like the Cup Winners' Cup or whatever. Like I remember all those nights, and that was important for Villa. That kept them higher than the teams around them, and that's what like a European place would do. That's what kept when we got to the Europa League. That's what kept Neves around. That's what kept Jota around. That was what kept them from not being poached. So if you offer me Champions League, Uncle George Mendes is going to find us a few more of those gems. And we're going to have some of those players that we'll probably have to sell on if you say don't go back. So I just think it
is interesting, and that's where my big thing is about you're never if you're linked with players that are linked. Even if you're in the Champions League, right? I still think Arsenal would get players over you because a big factor is we're in London.
Definitely. But I'm not talking about Wolves getting players that Arsenal would get. But Wolves would get first dibs on the teams around them that would maybe would they go to Villa? Would they go to Brighton? Would they go to, if Everton and Palace do well again, we're going to get them over them because of that. And we're in that middle period. A bit like where Leicester were a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah. But that's where you can do that without even finishing in the Champions League in that same season. Do you know what I mean? If you won a trophy as well, that's what I'm saying. You've got something to show. Like, guys, we're building something here. Because let's be honest, for Manchester City, where did their success come from? An FA Cup. It did. Yaya Toure against Stoke. It wasn't the Champions League because they've still not won that. And their success come from that, and that's where they were like, you know what, we're here now. We've got something to show. Aguero, etc., that we're here to win. But anyways, we'll move on anyway into Liverpool's transfer window. It's been interesting. It has been interesting indeed. They made obviously the early signing in Darwin Núñez, going to Liverpool. Beyond that, Calvin Ramsey that they brought in as well, and Carvalho, which was a January signing, but he's arrived in the summer.
Yeah.
Interesting. Ed, talk to me about Liverpool's transfer window and what you thought of that in terms of the ins and outs.
So the biggest out is obviously losing Sadio Mane. With Mane going, that's a huge hole. Maybe it's a hole they addressed in January of last year when they brought in Luis Diaz. I reckon that's what Liverpool fans would be arguing is the replacement was already there, which is why they could let him go.
Yeah.
They've signed an upgrade on Firmino. They're hoping in Darwin Núñez as in the central forward. Whether or not he'll play the same role as Bobby Firmino, I think he's yet to be decided. Because from what I've seen of him, he's not the link-up play false nine that they did have. And obviously the two youngsters that they brought in are sort of like the Scottish and I think Carvalho's English, right? From memory, he's played.
Yeah, well,
So
I think he's representing Portugal, but he is English.
But they're both homegrown, is what I'm saying. So they'll be homegrown players. They've got a few players off the books as well. Obviously, Origi's gone. Minamino's gone as well, hasn't he? They've released some of their youngsters as well. So they're balancing their books in, they're a very well-run club. I don't know if they've... the jury's going to be out on me if that's a lot of money on Núñez. That's my only reservation. What's your thoughts on Darwin Núñez?
I'm not the biggest fan of Darwin Núñez, to be honest. And this isn't taken away from what his qualities are, which is goal scoring. Definitely goal scoring, left foot, right foot header. He's very good at doing that, and he's got very good movement. I think he's similar to an Edinson Cavani in that sense, and it's an easy comparison to make because they're both Uruguayan. But even how he plays the game, it's not the prettiest on the eye. He's not got an elegant touch. He's not graceful with his running. He's just not great to watch. I think he's a little bit like, once again, Cavani, Lukaku-esque in that sense, but it doesn't. Let's be honest, with Liverpool and how they play and with the intensity, I think he'll suit that South American, that South American bulldog that they have within him, that fighter, that fighting spirit. We've seen plenty of South Americans come into Europe and the Premier League possess that. For Jurgen Klopp, I think he will be able to hone his skills, and he will get plenty of chances at Liverpool. When he was linked with Arsenal, Manchester United, I was like, nah, I don't think this is the club. I don't think this is what the type of striker Arteta will be wanting to play with. What even Ten Hag? I'm sure Ten Hag would like him, but he's not going to be your hold-up man who's going to bring in other players around you. He's going to be the goal scorer. So I think that will kind of work at Liverpool because they will have the majority of the ball, a lot of possession, like a B-Tech Haaland in that sense. I see Núñez, but it's a lot of money. As you said, they've paid more for Núñez than Haaland.
Yeah.
So, it's a huge risk. We'll find out, I'm sure, with this season. Well, even then, this season it's still transition year, but we'll know a lot about the player when the season's done.
Do you think Carvalho and Ramsey are going to play much this year?
Carvalho, yes. Ramsey, not really. Anyone that's a backup to Trent, I think that's why Nico Williams has decided, you know what, I need to seek pastures new. Calvin Ramsey, in his first year, is just going to be about settling in. We saw the same with Kostas Tsimikas at Liverpool in his first season. He didn't play many games. So I think it's going to be an interesting one for Carvalho, though. Can see him playing out on the right, in right wing, in the attacking midfield position, potentially in a false nine. I think he'll get a lot of cut games and substitution minutes now with the 5 subs. But what about your thoughts on those two in particular, Ed, in Carvalho and Ramsey? Do you kind of echo those thoughts? And who are you more excited to see?
I've seen a lot more of Carvalho than I have of Ramsey. So he played brilliantly for Fulham. He kind of broke through this season that they got relegated a few years ago, didn't they? And he had something different about him. He's grown up a little bit more. He's got a little bit more about him. He's still quite slight, but playing out on the wing or in the attacking midfielder role, that won't necessarily be as bad. So I'm excited to see him. What I've seen of Calvin Ramsey, I like the fact that he's 2-footed. I like the fact that he goes both ways. He could maybe cover for both sides from what I've read about him. So that kind of gives him probably first dibs on either right back or left back, like you're talking about in dead rubbers in the Champions League when maybe Liverpool have already qualified and League Cup games, FA Cup games at the start and that kind of stuff. So I think we'll see them. I have a little bit... Divock Origi scored some important goals for Liverpool, and not having him there, that sort of fourth choice striker to throw on when they need to change things up a little bit, that might be a little bit more of a dark horse miss for me. I think they won't necessarily miss him in the league, but in cup games and things like that, he always came through. He was very useful in the Champions League. He always scored against Everton, if I remember rightly. So, there's... if you're asking me where I'm going to put it, I'm going to say decent. Decent or almost there. I don't know. When we're talking about Liverpool and Man City, you're talking about the fine-tuning. Yeah. It's fine-tuning with them. There's not wholesale changes.
I've got a question for you, though, Ed. I know they've signed Salah. That was massive for them. But before I do that, Tezzy saying, just join, love these quick-fire games, 35 minutes in, 2 names on the board. That's how it is over here.
It's true.
Oh, no, sorry, Tezzy. Big up yourself as well.
And T-Dog.
And big up T-Dog. Hope you're keeping good. And listen to T-Dog right there. Hit like and subscribe. Love that, T-Dog. And Martin says that's Tereak for you. Liverpool almost there, says Mr. 200. Need an upgrade in their backup players to push the starters. But Ed, this is the question I was going to ask you. I know they've signed Mohamed Salah. That's a good deal. There was a bit of panic stations around Liverpool in that sense from Liverpool fans about Mohamed Salah. And there was hearing them talking about moving him on and who they can get in as a replacement. But Ed, let me give you their midfielders right now. I'm going to read out in midfield because this is the issue. When I spoke to Jamie and other Liverpool fans, in defensive midfield, they've got Fabinho, Henderson, and I'll ask you a question on Henderson following it. Naby Keita, Thiago, Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's injured, James Milner, right, and Curtis Jones as well. But a lot of those midfielders, late 20s, early 30s, some of them late injury prone. Ed,
it's not enough
about their midfield.
It's not enough. They've been light in midfield for a while, haven't they? Not Everton. I was going to say Everton, wrong Merseyside team. Liverpool's strength is in their wing backs and their strikers, isn't it? Their midfield's very functional. It's a very functional midfield. Fabinho's a very good destroyer, and then you just pick one of the other two to sort
Even
of.
Fabinho's picked up a few injuries.
Yeah, definitely. But he's their top quality, defensive midfielder. He's their destroyer. It's light. That's why I would say they're decent. I think they need a central midfielder. If you're going to go down your depth chart, to use an NFL term, as soon as you start getting down to Henderson with his dodgy hips, Oxlade-Chamberlain with his dodgy everything, you're scraping the barrel a little bit there, I think, to expect them to give you more than 6 out of 10 most games nowadays. So I think they are light, which is why I was leaning towards where Leeds are decent. Who they brought in is good. They've lightened the load on their wages. And like what Paul said in the comments, this is the fine-tuning now. This is one of the best teams we've ever seen. And now it's just dialing them up a little bit more to can they compete with Man City week in, week out? And that midfield is their major issue. They need at least one more midfielder.
Tezzy saying here, I don't think Liverpool is doing any more. They want Bellingham, but won't get him this year. King saying Liverpool could do with a number 8 right now. And he's also adding on to the point when we're talking about the goals. Diaz, Carvalho, Nunez should cover for Mane. So those three in particular. But when we're talking about the midfield there, Ed, it's not just about the quality. I think the age and
and availability
breaking down. I think they need a transition in that area of the pitch. And that's what it's going to be because Jordan Henderson, whatever your thoughts are on him, he's like Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. It's a bit like, he's a Gucci Xhaka, I call him, in that sense. So I think with Jordan Henderson, though, his game and his performances did drop. And this is why we saw a lot of in Liverpool's games, he was getting substituted first in like the 60th minute being taken off, and Milner was coming on, or Keita, or whoever was on the bench at that time, because I feel like his legs are starting to go, and he's physically, and it's not even to do with him. It's just I think he's just breaking down, and that playing in that Klopp side, it's ridiculous. So I think a transition is needed. Bellingham would be huge because that's
I would anything to watch that kid every week would be.
He's just a joke. He's got everything. He's a complete midfielder. And he's got such a mature head on his shoulders. Yeah. It's crazy. It's told you Severn Trent water for you. That's what it is. If you don't know Severn Trent, that's the water provider throughout the West Midlands. But that's what it is. That's what it's in there. So
but if Tezzy's right and Bellingham is a perfect player for the Klopp system for me, I think. Well, he's a perfect player for most systems. Yeah. He'd make it work. Then if they aren't going to get him this year, will they suffer through this year to try and splash the cash on him after another year at Dortmund? Maybe, but it would be exactly. That midfield, like you said, that midfield. Henderson has got there's the just the last thing on Liverpool. Henderson's sort of qualities, I think, for a lot of people in and around the club is his leadership, isn't it? But at some point, that sentimentality needs to go, and you need to replace him on the pitch.
It's true. It is true. Tezzy's saying they're a few injuries away from giving us second place. That's a big shout there, Tezzy. I'd hope so. But you know what? In the midfield, if they lose a Fabinho and with the tight games and small, I think we're going to see a crazy season. We might see something crazy happen. That's what the predictions. Next week is going to be fun. But yeah, Liverpool indecent. Right, Manchester City. Now, Ed, this is an interesting one with Manchester City because they've had a good window.
Yeah.
Really good window when you look at what they've done with the signings that they brought in. We've already mentioned Calvin Phillips, Julian Alvarez, who was signed in January, and he's come as well. The big man himself, Erling Braut Haaland, of course. I have to put it in the Norwegian accent because, with Ødegaard now, with Arsenal signing him, I just try and do my Tereak and Ed, don't I? So yeah, great transfer window so far. So yeah, I've mentioned Haaland, Phillips, Alvarez, and then Stefan Ortega as a free transfer. Apart from that, they're the only ones that will be coming into the side. I'm seeing a lot of end of loans, which they're going to have to certainly get out. But in terms of the departures, we spoke about that so good in terms of the arrivals. Departures. Raheem Sterling went to Chelsea for 50 million. Gabriel Jesus has gone to Arsenal for 47 million. Zinchenko has gone to Arsenal for 31.5, so let's say 32. Pedro Porro, who was on loan at Sporting, has gone there. Ko Itakura has gone to Borussia Mönchengladbach. I know he spent some time at Stuttgart. If I can remember, he had a good time there. Stuttgart always gets some decent players. And Muric as well. Arne Muric, and I remember he even played against England. He was shocking for Kosovo. But yeah, and they're not losing Fernandinho. So the key departures there, Sterling, Jesus, Zinchenko, Fernandinho. And then Zach Steffen going on loan. But Ed talked to me about their window because it's two sides to a story, don't you think?
Yeah. The ins, they've addressed the number 9 issue that people have been saying they've been needing for a long time. And they've not only addressed it, they've addressed it with probably the best number 9 prospect we've seen for ages.
Available as well.
Yeah, and that's available. They didn't go old and splash the cash on Lewandowski. For a 1 or 2 season rental, which is what that would have been. Calvin Phillips comes in. He's the Fernandinho replacement. Again, you've got the homegrown element with him as well, which ticks the box that Man City will, at points, probably struggle with. For me, it's the outs, though. Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, and Zinchenko, they are players that, to use an NBA term, eat up minutes. They play, they perform. And Jesus and Sterling were integral to their attacking play last year. And as amazing as Haaland is, and in a couple of weeks' time, I could be saying, I was completely wrong, but it might still take him a little bit of time to settle in. And Pep's not great at just going, crack on, you go and play. He's a control freak. And will he let Haaland have free reign of that attacking central forward role? I don't know. All of the signs say that he's going to blood him in, and it's going to be a slow process, and we're probably talking a few months, maybe even till Christmas, till the break for the World Cup, that we see him play week in, week out. Because you know what Pep's like. He can watch a video of something and start playing a right back, as a left forward, because he sees something different in that player. So I think the outs stop this from being anything more than decent for me personally.
You've literally hit everything that I thought of there. You hit the nail on the head in my eyes. Guys in the chat, let me know what you think of Ed's thoughts on Manchester City there. I think he's covered all bases. Let's go to Tezia, and then I've got a question for you, Ed, in terms of a potential transfer that could be happening for City. Only thing is they've lost quite a few good players, so we'll be interesting to see how that affects them. And that's kind of what Ed's alluding to there, Tezzy, in saying, eats up a lot of minutes. I think That's how you got to look at football now in currency.
Yeah,
With minutes, not starts. With the amount of substitutions we have now, you've got to look at it in minutes. And these guys will play in a lot of games. It's going to be interesting to see how the likes of, Haaland and Alvarez, how much minutes they do get. Because, as Pep is a control freak, he likes to bed these players in. As Ed said, I'm just repeating Ed's words there. T-Dog, Walker is getting too old and they should get a right back while they can. And this kind of leads me to my next question. It's talking about a fullback, a potential incoming, which might happen at some point. It just depends on if Man City and Brighton can get to an agreement. Mark Cucurella, what's your thoughts on that? If that happens, does that kind of boost their transfer window even further? They've covered all bases. They've improved in every position that they had a potential weakness in.
So for me, Cucurella, he's an improvement on Zinchenko as a left back.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's an improvement on Zinchenko, the player that Pep likes.
Yeah. I get you.
If you watch a Man City game, where Cancelo and Zinchenko or Walker and Cancelo go, they don't go down the wing. They come in. And I don't know, from what I've seen of Cucurella last year, he played left back, an overlapping left back, great at crossing the ball in, great at getting to the byline. Goal. He was part of their XG, the XA, and all the other stats that you want to get on. I don't know how he'll be coming inside, filling in that central midfield role. The gap between left wing and central midfield and defence, that sort of quadrant, I don't know if he's going to be comfortable enough going right and left. I don't know if he's going to be comfortable enough drifting and going back inside. He's an upgrade on Zinchenko as a left back. Whether he's an upgrade on Zinchenko, what he offered and what a left back Pep offers, I don't know. I don't know. I could be proved wrong because he's obviously a very good footballer.
Do you know the case study where I'd say you could potentially be proven wrong is João Cancelo? Because when João Cancelo came in, he was a marauding fullback who was playing like a winger in that sense. He would get in chalk on his boots, going down the byline, crossing balls in, being very high up the pitch in wide areas for Juventus, and then previously to that at Valencia. And then Pep Guardiola has seen his technical ability and said, I know you can do this. I know you can play in the middle third of the pitch. You've got the technical ability, you've got the intelligence, the close control required, the passing range. And he's seen that with Cancelo. And I think he might see the same with Marc Cucurella. And playing in La Masia, which is where Cucurella come from, he's going to be very adept at playing multiple positions.
Yeah, of course.
So I think that's probably what Pep Guardiola sees. That's just me giving him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. And with Cucurella, he has played in centralish areas as well. He played in the back three towards the end for Brighton. But when he did come through, this is where I definitely agree with your point. He was a marauding fullback, getting chalk on his boots, going to the byline, crossing balls in, whereas he's not going to do that in Manchester City. Whereas Zinchenko plays in that literal position for his national team and in central midfield, and that's where the left backs and the fullbacks operate. So I definitely hear where you're coming from. King saying, I think Cucurella will be fine. They will change the system again, as Pep always do.
There's a chance that Pep plays that the left back stays left, and the Cancelo comes inside. There's tweaks around it. He's clearly a very good footballer, and I think fair play to Brighton that they're holding out for the money they want for him.
Definitely, that's the big moves from Brighton there. Yeah. So where we put in Manchester City, for me, I'm looking at almost there.
Yeah, unless... I was between almost there or decent, is what I said.
Yeah, I was going to say as well. But it depends on how much you think these outgoings are going to affect them. What I'm going to say in terms of the outgoings, Raheem Sterling leaving, I think Jack Grealish will replace him this season. He'll get a lot more minutes. Pep Guardiola's had him into that system a little bit more. And then for Gabriel Jesus, Haaland will replace him in that sense. Yeah. So I think they've got good. And then you mentioned Fernandinho being replaced by Calvin Phillips. And then they've upgraded. Well, we'll see. We can't judge that yet on Cucurella. So I would say almost there. And then if they got Cucurella in, they'd be.
I think definitely almost there, because also they've either recouped the money or made money on the players they sold as well. So
yeah.
it's good
And
business all round.
literally, King's literally just said what I said, and I know he probably put it in before I said it. City almost there, one player in and they're complete. Yeah, I hear you. Question now, just a final question on Man City, then we'll move on because we're 55 minutes in and we've done 4 teams. So, have Man City improved?
Oh,
I know we haven't seen him kick a ball competitively yet, but
so you would assume Haaland's an upgrade on Jesus as the centre forward. Calvin Phillips is a younger version of Fernandinho in terms of, but whether or not he'll have the same ability, I don't know. This is what I was talking about. It's the fine tuning, isn't it? I think we have to wait to see if they've improved.
Okay, cool. Nice splinters there, Ed.
Yeah, I'm happy to sit on the fence because with Man City and Liverpool, you're talking minute details, aren't you, with whether or not
he's crazy.
You could argue that if Haaland, bangs in 10 goals in his first 15 games, they have improved, and that everyone will just be, we've moved on, and this Man City team's even more dominant. So that one player and his ability to wreck a game like Haaland could upgrade them on his own. Yeah,
exactly that. And that's probably the one thing that City didn't have.
Yeah.
And now Sterling's more of a goal scorer than a creator. And then you've got Grealish, who's not a goal scorer, but he's a creator for Haaland. Cool. He's an upgrade on Ollie Watkins. I'll tell you that from what Grealish was playing with a couple of seasons back.
Definitely.
Mr. 200 saying Man City are almost there. Phillips and Alvarez, Haaland class window. And then big up Niall in the place as well. Big up Ilias in here too. So Man City almost there. Manchester United. Ed, we'll go through Manchester United's window. Interesting because they've confirmed another signing today, which took them a while. Again, just like they did yesterday, but today and yesterday they signed Lisandro Martinez and Christian Eriksen to the club. So that's interesting there. And then we also know that they've signed Tyrell Malacia as well. What's your thoughts on Manchester United in terms of the incomings, Ed?
So the incomings are in positions they needed. They needed a centre-back who can also play defensive midfielder. Eriksen is a class act that you could probably argue is the central midfielder that they've been needing, sort of the creative element that their midfield wasn't having. For me, I think it's the released players that is probably where, well, not the released players, the outgoings are where we probably need to look into it. And we've also got the spectre of Cristiano Ronaldo and his hissy fit that he's now throwing about this. This is why Messi for me is still 1,000 times better than Ronaldo. With just his demeanour. Ronaldo's demeanour makes him highly unlikable. Yeah, as amazing as he is. So they've lost Cavani and Mata. They're sort of older players that have moved on. Paul Pogba. That man is the most infuriating footballer I think I've seen in my lifetime. He has everything about him, and sometimes he just doesn't bother. And it really is, I think, an attitude issue with him, whether or not he needs to be the main man. And hopefully, once he gets over this injury at Juventus, he'll show like Francis Paul Pogba, and we'll all be wowed by him again. And then you're looking at all the other players. Matic has gone back with Mourinho. Dean Henderson's gone out on loan to Nottingham Forest. Him and Lingard are going to, have their parties, do whatever they're going to do. And then, I said Cavani and Mata at the start. They're the elder statesmen that have sort of they've run their course now, haven't they? And they've popped up. So they've addressed, they also brought in the left back as well, didn't they? So Luke Shaw didn't have a great season. I'm not overly convinced on Telles. So there's another potential left back that might come in a bit later on in the season when he's got used to the Premier League. I don't think they've have they improved? Tereak is my question to you. I don't know.
No. At the back, Lisandro Martinez, he improves their playing out of the back if they're going to move into a Ten Hag style. But is Eriksen a huge upgrade? Is he even an upgrade on Paul Pogba? I know but Paul Pogba is very inconsistent.
It depends. He's an upgrade on Paul Pogba in terms of he'll give you more 7 out of 10 games.
Yeah.
But will he give you the Paul Pogba 4 assists in a game kind of performance? Probably not. So consistency, yes, he is an upgrade, but as a player, no. So that's a difficult one to judge.
It's true.
There's so many more players that they need. I think King's just put. I agree with all of those. They do need another defensive midfielder. They probably do need another right back. They definitely need another forward, especially with where they are with the Mason Greenwood stuff, and then also what Ronaldo's going to say to Ten Hag. So yeah.
Exactly. And look at everyone into the comments. I'll get to the one that made me laugh then. Tezzy saying panic stations right there. We'll get into that one as well, King, when we go to it. I'll make sure I bring it up. More to be done with manure, says Mr. 200. T-Dog saying CR7 needs to go. He's too old and he can't play in the Prem.
Do you know what? All these people say that Ronaldo's 1 week older than me. So it's like, I'm now at that age now where the players that are far too old to be playing are now younger than me or about the same age.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? T-Dog, you're making Ed feel old.
Yeah,
that's what
old.
You are doing. And this is what made me laugh. Mr. 200 says, change of mind. Man United are done. They don't need to do anything more.
Completed.
Complete. That's what they should be.
For me, they're more to be done.
More to be done. Not quite panic stations yet, Tezzy, because if they don't sign one of those players, which King has mentioned, King and Ed, then by the last week of the transfer window, then they're going to be panicking. But more to be done because there's still a little bit of time, and they have improved in one area at least. On that left side, I'd say, on the left side of defence, in that Lissandro and Malacia.
Yeah.
Newcastle United, Ed. Newcastle United's transfer window. This is.
Closer than I thought it was going to be.
Definitely, definitely agree with you on that. It's a bit underwhelming, don't you think, Ed? Yeah, when you look at it. So Newcastle United, they've signed Sven Botman. That was a big transfer. And I know Ed knows a bit about Sven Botman, don't you, Ed?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because he was linked with Wolves last season.
Yep.
Sven Botman brought in. Nick Pope was a very good signing, coming in from Burnley. Decent Premier League goalkeeper, England international as well. And Matt Targett signed and completed. He was on loan, of course, but they signed him for 15 million. 3 ins. That's not a lot, is it, Ed?
No. It's annoyingly sensible for the most richest club in the world, isn't it? Yeah. Like we wanted a Robinho to Man City kind of splashing the cash kind of.
Yeah.
But they've upgraded their keeper. They've upgraded their defence. And they brought in Matty Targett, who made me eat some humble pie. I thought he was awful when I saw him at Villa. But at Newcastle, it genuinely looked like a very good, very competent Premier League left back.
Yeah, I think you were right to think that, because I remember the first game of the season, Ismail Assar. I know Ismail Assar's done it to really good left backs in the past, but he made Matty Targett literally got substituted at half time for Ashley Young, and we saw how bad, not great, Ashley Young was. So yeah, but it's sensible. What do you think they have improved though? When you look at their issues, I know they signed Chris Wood, but they need a striker. They probably need more goals from midfield, an upgrade on Willock, and someone to literally play with or, rotate with Callum Wilson, who
when Callum Wilson gets injured,
yeah,
they are completely and utterly reliant on Chris Wood, aren't they?
Exactly. And we saw that wasn't great, but Eddie Howe managed them through. So where would you think to put Newcastle? Because in terms of outgoings, if you guys don't know, Dwight Gale went to Stoke like yesterday.
Yeah.
Freddie Woodman, he's gone to Preston.
And there's a load of loans, isn't there?
And Isaac Hayden, Jeff Hendrick and Kieran Clark gone on loan to Norwich, Reading and Sheffield United, respectively. So yeah, what are we saying? Because it's decent or more to be done, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that's where I was leaning.
There you go. More to be done. Look at that. Me and Ed agreeing. There we go. And we're an hour and 5 minutes in. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already, guys. Big up to Why Not up in the place. He's saying big up to you and Ed. Hope you're keeping well. Why Not? Stay tuned. We're getting to Arsenal soon.
Yeah, we haven't
Love
got
to
to
hear
Arsenal
your
yet.
thoughts. Why Not? Newcastle are moving like a serious club, not going for the PR players like Lingard, etc. Very true. And they're not getting bullied by the likes of Leon for Lucas Paqueta, who they are very much interested in. Yeah. And JC mentioned this club, Ed, in Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest have had a busy transfer window indeed. The newly promoted side. Just a quick word on them. We'll go not too long because we'll do this next week when we talk about each team. What's your thoughts on Nottingham Forest coming into the league individually, like back in the Prem?
Oh, as the club being back in,
it's
brilliant. It's brilliant. This is a team of my proper youth, like when I was T-Dog's age. Yeah. Forest were always there. They always had a good team. They were always interesting. They're a big club with a big following. I've been to the City Ground a couple of times. It's a very good ground in the city centre. They are a big club. They've won the European Cup. That Brian Clough was a legend there. So it's good to have them back. It's good to have them back because without being too disrespectful, teams like Bournemouth come and go. But Forest are there. They have some history behind them. And obviously, Bournemouth are forging their own history now, so it's not meant as a dig. But with Forest being quite a historic club, it's cool to have a team that big finally after pretty much all of your life. I think it was 1999 when they went down, so you were barely born when they were dumped out of the Premier League and never to be returned until this year. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant. They'll have 30,000 there every week. Their away fans will follow them. So it'll be good for the league.
Exactly. I only started growing facial hair back then as well. So in terms of arrivals for Nottingham Forest, a lot of them been made in Taiwo Awoniyi, the former Liverpool player, signed from Union Berlin for 19 million. Big price there. And the same goes for Nico Williams, who are just a little bit less in 18 million. Moussa Niakate, who's, by the way, he looks like a decent centre-back from Mainz, coming from the Bundesliga. Julian Biancone, I don't have too much knowledge on him either. He's a right-back, though, so I'm guessing that's their Jed Spence replacement. Omar Richards as well. So they've got two right-backs in Nico Williams and Biancone. Omar Richards from Bayern Munich, he spent a season there after he signed on a free from Reading. He's come into the side. Lewis O'Brien and Harry Toffolo, both coming from Huddersfield for just over 10 million. To sign two players, that's brilliant. Lewis O'Brien, I think he's a quality player. I like what I see from him. Yeah. I was keeping an eye on him, watching little videos I do on YouTube, and that's what I do. I like watching things that I don't know about and I don't really have much attention to. But they was talking about Lewis O'Brien. I saw him play in the playoff final. I saw the technical ability. I thought, Premier League midfielder. And he's the age of 23. Toffolo, a very good left back. He's had a rise in his career as well. He's someone that's he's making that the dream progression for footballers coming from lower divisions up into the Premier League. So keep your eyes on him, people. Very good left back indeed. And they brought in a youngster in Brandon Aguilera, not Christina, not by the way, but Brandon. In the attacking midfield, as well as Jesse Lingard, Wayne Hennessy, and Dean Henderson. A lot of signings there. So many. And then departures, they lost Bryce Samba, which was a surprising one. But apart from that, the rest, Tobias Figueiredo, played a few games. And the rest of them, by the way, aren't starters, I would say. No. Samba and Horvath, they were their goalkeepers in the Championship, but they've both left. So what's your thoughts on how many signings they brought in? 1, 2, 3,
11, 4, isn't it?
6, 7. Yeah, 11 signings. That's a whole team.
Yeah. They needed it, though. I think that's the thing. The test is now going to be on their manager, who is incredibly highly rated, on how will he be able to blend all of these players. Now, they've done their business relatively early. They're done now, you would imagine. Whether or not... The only thing I know about Nottingham Forest, and I know this through our mutual friend Duncan, is that apparently they are massive on their right back and left backs. So with the 5 sub rules, apparently the plan will be that the starting right back and left back, who are a huge attacking threat for Forest, will be replaced with like 25 minutes to go. So the plan was apparently to get both fullbacks positions with both players in both positions that are Premier League quality, which is what I think they've managed to do.
Yeah, they literally have signed 2 of them as well. So that's interesting to see. They are definitely heavily reliant on their fullbacks, which is why Jed Spence had such a good time there. And then Jack Colback looked all right in that left back position in the Championship. So what are we saying for them? Are we saying they're complete?
I think they're complete as much as Nottingham Forest could be. Yeah.
What, like, are there any other positions that you're thinking of? Do you think,
they've even brought in 2 sort of Premier League different levels of goalkeeper. Yeah. So the business seems good. They've spent the money they needed to. They brought in Iwaioni, scored an awful lot of goals for Union Berlin. Definitely. Who knows? We have to. For me, I think we have to say complete. They brought in a whole team.
Definitely, I agree. And now we're going to move on into the next side, which is Southampton. Do you know what? I think Southampton have had an interesting window, in all honesty, because they've gone for a very clear and approach to their window. Whether it's gonna, whether it's everyone else thinks it's good, or do I think it's good? I don't even know myself. I just really need to get my head around it in terms of the players. I know they've brought in a lot of youngsters. That's the direction that they're going with. And I think that's what they really took last season as well, signing players from academy sides. And the ins that they brought in is Gavin Bazunu, Sekou Mara, a 19-year-old from Bordeaux, Romeo Lavia, who's been highly rated at Manchester City, by the way, without playing a Premier League game for 11 million. So that says it all. Armel Bella Ketchup. So yeah, Bella Ketchup, they call him. 20 years of age from VfL Bochum. And the thing is with Bochum, is it Bochum or Bochum?
Bochum.
Sorry, Bochum. With Bella Ketchup as well. He was linked with Manchester United at one point when Ralf Rangnick was there. So he's a young, promising centre-back, one of those other centre-backs that's quite good coming from the Bundesliga. Joe Aribo, good signing from Rangers. I know Crystal Palace, eagle-eyed football people, they were a bit gutted that he went to Southampton for just 6 million when they're looking for a midfielder themselves. And a goalkeeper called Mateusz Lich for free. I'm guessing that's the... Yeah, interesting one. Is that their Fraser Forster
replacement?
I guess so, but they've got Bazunu as the Fraser Forster replacement as a 20-year-old goalkeeper from Manchester City who's been around on loan a few times, Rochdale, Portsmouth last season, and he's an Irish international at the age of 20. And you think he made his debut as a teenager. So that's quite good there. But in terms of the departures, Fraser Forster, Shane Long, Harry Lewis, Will Smallbone, and Dan and Lundalu. So really, Fraser Forster, which they've replaced, but they've gone very young, Ed. This is risky indeed.
Yeah, there's a lot of players there who have been bought on reputation rather than what they can do. Now, Southampton have done quite well on some of their scouting. Livramento, the signing they got from last year, their right back, all of a sudden, unless you watched the under-23s, you didn't know how good he was until he came through. For me, they haven't addressed, unless any of those are forwards that I don't know about, I still worry about where goals are going to come from for Southampton. Is Mara a striker?
Mara, yes, Sekou Mara is a striker.
Yeah, so
young 19.
Yeah, they brought in a very young striker from Ligue 1, which isn't necessarily the best league to be choosing players from, but they have to take chances. Southampton are very much in the middle ground where you have to try and see what happens. That's where they are. That's why they take flyers on these, £11 million from a Man City player that's never played a game. That's what Southampton have to do and trust their relatively good scouting system. So,
Yeah. I get what you're saying. It's true. Sean saying now we're not in terms of a midfielder. I would say so. I would say you still need someone in midfield. Like Jeffrey Schlupp isn't going to be good enough for the majority of the season. Do you know what I mean? Like I know you got Eze coming back, Eze Decore, but then you want someone a bit more progressive, a bit like what Conor Gallagher brought for you guys too. Whether if you're going to replace Conor Gallagher, Jeffrey Schlupp's not going to be the one, is he?
No.
Let's be real. So yeah, why not saying about Nottingham Forest's transfer window says and CT, who says a rebuild takes an age. Forest bought 11 players with a fraction of Arteta's budget. Just saying, one window, 11 players, goal Wilder. Well, it's a lot easier to sign players for that will cost you 7 to 10 million to improve your side. Whereas Arsenal, we have to spend a little bit more than 7 to 10 million to really improve our side. I see where you're coming from, but they've also got they've got a settled team as well, Nottingham Forest, which is what we have to look at in terms of a settled manager who's been there for a season now and he's taking them up and he's going to be holding on to some key players in there like Scott McKenna, Joel Worrell. Good players, by the way. Joel Worrell. Get into him next week, guys. Pause. But anyways, yeah, we'll get into that definitely when we talk about Forest, for sure. They're not that bad, but they needed to buy players. Everyone can buy 11 cheap players. It's harder to buy 11 players that will make you challenge. Yeah, King, literally. Yeah, what I'm saying there. So Southampton, where are we putting them then?
I think it's more to be done.
More to be done. I agree because it's a risky transfer window.
Yeah.
I would like to put them in decent because I like the risks. I want teams like Southampton to take these types of risks because let's be honest, if they're gonna push on from the position that they're in, which is mid-table obscurity, they're either going to need these players to bang, which means that they will be able to sell them on for loads, or they can just bring Southampton's level up and you can build around them. In that sense, so yeah,
it's the conveyor belt. Sometimes the bigger clubs need a medium club to take that risk and then pay over the odds to get them. How many Southampton players ended up at Liverpool, for example. So and that's what Southampton do with a very good manager.
Speaking of middling clubs, it's like how Arsenal take the players of Manchester City. Do you know what I mean? Like, I see where you're going from, Ed.
It's not 2002 anymore, T. I'm just letting you know.
I know.
When Man City were less than a middling club.
Trust me, I know. Did we sign anyone from Man City back in those days?
No.
Nah. Why not saying Jed Spence better right back than Tommy Tofu on the bench? Nah.
We'll find out this year because Jed Spence wasn't deemed good enough for Middlesbrough.
Exactly. I get what you're saying, but if we wanted a rebuild, we would have gotten him. If he doesn't fit PV system, plus he can't be the Conor Gallagher replacement. Okay, that's fair enough. If Patrick Vieira doesn't want him, that's fair enough. But yeah, and I think he would give you the ball progression of Conor Gallagher. Maybe not the energy because he's very unique in that sense as well. Yeah, Spence had a decent 6 months in the Championship. Tommy is clear. So we'll move on to
Talking of middling clubs.
Tottenham. Thank you, Ed. Thank you. I'm glad you said it and not me. Tottenham Hotspur and their transfer window. It has been a very busy one for Tottenham, in fact, and they brought in the likes of Richarlison, Yves Bissouma, Jed Spence, who was talking about Ivan Perisic, Fraser Forster, Clement Longley as well on loan. So they spent quite a bit of money. They spent a decent amount in there. What? And then in terms of departures, Steven Bergwijn is the key one. They let Carter Vickers go back to Celtic. Jack Clark's gone to Sunderland, and Galini's gone back to Atalanta. But so the key arrivals: Richarlison, Bissouma, Spence, Perisic, Fraser Forster, and Clement Longley. Talk to me there, bro, about those signings, and is that very good for Tottenham? Or
why not? King, T, Paul, T-Dog, or close your ears. I think this is a great window.
Tell me why.
They've got so Richarlison
Mm.
can either lighten the load for Harry Kane or Son, depending on where they wants to play it. Yves Bissouma is a very good upgrade in their central midfield. They won't need to play players like Harry Winks, etc. anymore. We all know how much Conte loves Perisic.
Yeah.
Whether or not he's going to play all the games, he's got an unbelievable engine. So don't overlook him, King. This is for you on FPL. He's down as a defender, but he's probably going to be more like a flying winger in terms of how Conte likes his wing backs. Jed Spence, one thing we know is he's an attacking wing back. That's exactly what Conte wants from his wing backs. And Longley is a much improvement on the central defenders that they've got, I think. And Fraser Forster's a perfectly serviceable backup goalkeeper. And all they've really let go is Steven Bergwijn, where they got pretty much the money they spent for him anyway. I think it's a really good window.
And you know what? I do agree with you. The only one that I disagree with is Longley. I don't think he's a massive upgrade in that area.
I just don't rate their
Ben Davis. Ben Davis had a good end to the season.
Yeah,
I think
he did.
Ben Davis is a bit like, he's to Spurs, he's their El Nene. You know what he's going to give you. You know he's going to give you in terms of a level of performance, and he might dip below that as on a certain occasion, but he's not going to go above that either. Once again, I think when we talk about their window, we're talking about it's because of Conte, isn't it? When we look at Spurs. Because if they signed these players for a different manager, and this is where, when people talk about, but before we move on, T-Dog's going off to bed. Good night, T-Dog. Thank you for joining. Thanks for coming by. With Spurs, it's definitely to do with the manager, because if you're looking at the individual signings, you think, you say Jed Spence, he'll work well under Conte, because the instant player that comes to everybody's mind, Victor Moses, what he did with him, Perisic, he played him, converted him into a left wing back. You know what? Because if that was another manager, Ed, you'd say, "What, a 33-year-old? Come on, like what are you doing?"
I did caveat both of those players with this is Conte. Remember, this is very short-sighted. Only two of those players are of an age where you would say, well, maybe three, because I guess Richarlison's not as old as you think he is. But a lot of those players are
old.
Yeah, and that's what Conte. That's what Conte likes. It's a short-term thing, isn't it? He's not doing what Arteta's doing at Arsenal. He's not doing what Klopp and Pep are trying to do at Man City. Keep it evolving, grow. Conte's there to win something. Tottenham needs to win something, doesn't it? Because at some point,
they don't.
No, for them, that's what they need, isn't it? That's what they believe that club should be. They're a cup team in my eyes, because that's what they were growing up, and that's what they've always been. But they're not even that anymore. They're always there and thereabouts. They're basically what Arsenal was at the end of Wenger's year, always in and around fourth, not really doing much, but always there. Whereas obviously Wenger won FA Cups. Calm down, I know.
Thank you. You got to be careful, comparing us and Ed.
I mean where they're finishing in the league, but so you are right. All of those signings are caveated with it's Conte. Now, I don't know much about Longley, so I know I've seen King in the comments as well saying that he's not great. All I know is that Tottenham Hotspur centre-backs aren't great. So I would have assumed he would be better than them because he was at Barcelona. That is a huge assumption. I don't think I've ever seen him play.
It's all right. Fair enough. It is what it is. But a BMB says this Spud squad looks undercooked for Champions League, but a decent window by their standard.
It's not enough. It's not enough to compete on all levels. No, I'd agree.
Yeah, with that. It's a good point actually. That's what I've been trying to say to Arsenal fans that say, Spurs, like they were, they've improved. I'm like, yes, they've improved, but have they improved enough for Champions League? Just like how you ask us the question to Arsenal fans to each other. He's saying, have we improved enough to have Europe added in? Let's be honest. Spurs didn't have Europe last season. They played the kids and still got knocked out. So like that in the group stage. And that's where you got a question now. Spurs, Conte, is he going to be able to manage it? Smaller schedule, lot tight, packed. I think, wasn't it when he won the league with Chelsea? Did they have one game a week then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll have to wait and see.
It'll be interesting. It'll be
It
interesting.
will be. But let's see what you guys are saying, and then we'll put Tottenham where they need to be. Don't need 11 cheap players. Need 4 cheap players to do adequate job, and 30 million for Mas Vieira, a Porto fringe player, isn't cheap. It's a bump. Yeah, it's an improvement in what we needed, though. Why not in terms of the crate? But we'll get into Arsenal.
We're only a few away from Arsenal.
We're a few away. We'll sort out Tottenham. But yeah, what has he said about Tottenham? But Tottenham only brought experience where they need it. LWB, their left wing back to be ahead of Sessegnon. Yeah, it's true. When he played, he has been good. Spence got 0 Premier League games. How can he already be better? Well said, says Tezzy. So, where are we putting Tottenham then? Almost there?
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Almost there.
I think Black and Blanco, though, I think that's B&B. Good point. I genuinely hadn't thought about. With Champions League, they're a couple away, which is where what we said almost there was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, couple away, almost there. West Ham United, big transfer window for them so far. With not with a lot of confirmed, but of course yesterday as well, Gianluca Scamacca, who's linked with a lot of clubs in and around Europe. Who's linked with Arsenal, PSG. They were very interested, but they didn't pay the money what Sassuolo wanted. But West Ham were willing to, and to add a sell-on clause as well to the deal to sweeten it up for Sassuolo. And then brought in Naif Ajerd. Sorry. He, by the way, is highly rated from a lot of West Ham fans that when they saw him in his first game. He picked up an injury, so he might miss the start of the season. But they was honestly saying, like, this guy is a Rolls Royce of a defender.
Yeah.
Defends so calm. 31 million, big amount of money to be spending. It's a lot. And then they also brought in Flynn Downs, who was linked to Crystal Palace but didn't go. And that's kind of where I say, Sean, if you're still here, that Palace are in for a midfielder. No, was it Palace? It was Palace, wasn't it?
Palace, Wolves, and another team I can't remember now. Maybe Southampton. Yeah. He was linked to all of that group of teams that are in and around 10th.
Yeah. There you go. Alphonse Areola as well. They've signed him on a permanent too. So, Ed, Scamacca, Ajerd, Downs, and Areola. What you're telling me is that have they improved that squad already? Because they've only lost Yarmolenko, Fredericks, Noble, David Martin, and Král, who went back. But all the players that they lost were squad players.
Yeah.
And now they've brought them in with two of them. I expect to play a lot of games.
So I think all 4 of those are going to be in the squad that they brought in. Scamacca is the biggest thing he's going to do is he lightens the load for Antonio as well. How many Antonio, and they're slightly different strikers, I know, because Antonio is very all action, but he will be able to come off now and not burn out after 75 minutes, which is what he was doing. Yeah. The defender, the YouTube highlights are incredible. So I'm waiting to see what he actually looks like. I think that's a good keeper they've got as well in Areola. So I think a lot of these players have improved West Ham. I think West Ham have been very sensible. Flynn Downs comes with a very good reputation. He's again young. He's homegrown. That ticks that box. He might be a Mark Noble replacement in how he plays, but we are talking a couple of seasons down the line probably before we see that in the Premier League. And obviously Mark Noble's impact was probably more off the field for the last couple of seasons. So in the replacement, we're probably not talking. And who they've lost, none of those players, barring maybe you'd argue Noble and Yarmolenko, who played a few minutes in some games. They haven't lost any players that are going to be of a detriment to their squad. Exactly. So I think they've improved. They've improved with who they brought in. Whether they've moved the needle lots, I don't know. But what they have done is they've moved the needle upwards. That, for me, is a successful window.
Definitely right there. So where are we putting West Ham then?
I'd say decent.
Nice. Well, what else would you say in positions that they need to sort out for them to get almost there or complete?
Attacking midfield, maybe. When we're talking, if Bowen gets injured,
yeah,
have they lost a massive creative element of their team. I'd say they have. I know they have. Forgotten his name now. The Argentinian, is he Argentinian? Lanzini, but Bowen took his game to another level last year. So I would say there's some kind of that they need another attacking midfielder. I would say it's probably why they're not in almost there for me. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I would say decent, and they need an attacking midfielder. Left back as well. I'm looking at potentially they need a left back.
Yeah.
Because Cresswell breaking down, I don't really trust Arthur Masuaku in a back four. But if they're going to move to a back three with a 2-striker system, potentially, but we'll have to wait and see for sure. B&B saying West Ham needed that centre forward. They've got one. Good window for them unless they lose Bowen. Yeah, it is a good window. You can't really go anywhere below decent.
No.
And if they do get Kostic in, they are working hard at that. That's the left wing back that they're going to be looking at, and he's a ridiculously good player, by the way. Very heavy on the assists, so he's a very good creator. And that's adding that creativity that you're talking about there, Ed. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. If they get Kostic in, they're probably almost there / complete, maybe, potentially. But you know what? I'll leave Wolves and Arsenal to the end. Aston Villa. Let's talk about Aston Villa's window. Because I know we're going to probably talk about Wolves and Arsenal too long. And we'll probably go through the rest. So, yeah, give us something to look forward to because we are Wolves and Arsenal fans in here. So, Aston Villa's transfer window started off early, didn't it there, Ed?
Yep, very early.
With Diego Carlos and Boubacar Kamara, which I know a lot of Arsenal fans at the time were like, oh, look, Villa have started early. Why can't we, you know? But they also brought in Phil Coutinho, Robin Olsen, Ludwig Augustinsson. You know what? King will be familiar, Swedish international. And Boubacar Kamara. So what do you make of those incomings with the departures of being, you know, once again, it's squad players in Target, Trezeguet, Kalinic, Hurahan, Wesley.
It's kind of, with all due respect, it's kind of not people that were troubling the squad very much last year as in their outs. Their ins, they're impressive. Kamara and Carlos, I think they're impressive signings. The fact where that both of those players were linked to, they were linked to, again, with respect, probably clubs that you would expect to hire than Villa. So the fact that Villa have gone out there, got the players. The jury's still out for me on Coutinho. I still think he flattered to deceive a little bit last year. I don't know anything, I'll be honest, about the Swedish guy they brought in. Where does he play? What's his position?
Left back.
Okay, so they needed a left back and they got it. That's sensible too. I know, obviously, the guy they brought in from Rangers is obviously going to be known to Stevie G as well, so that seems sensible. It's a very sensible window. They're good players in positions they needed. They needed a backup goalkeeper. They've gone out and got one. They've held on to Coutinho, which is, he could, if he plays 25, 30 games in the league this season, that's going to be amazing for Villa because his creative ability is at times unplayable. So, but for me, with him, it's availability. That's a massive issue for me with Coutinho. So how about you? What's your thoughts? I think it's quite a sensible window.
Yeah, I think it is sensible indeed. So what are we saying? Decent or almost there?
Have they brought in a forward?
No.
I'd say decent then.
Yeah, they need a forward. Yeah. Danny Ings, unreliable.
Danny Ings doesn't... Ollie Watkins is too streaky of a player. And although I like him, I like his work rate. He's another one that's sort of come up the ranks and gone through all the stages. Danny Ings, it's his availability is an issue. So I would say that they're missing that, and probably just the fact that Tyrone Mings is still going to be their starting centre back for me as well is another issue.
Exactly that. But you know what? We are. You know, I said we're leaving to the end. We're gonna go with Arsenal. Ed, we'll let you go first because right. I'm sure you're happy to hear a neutral as well because I can see the debate going on in the comments between King and why not. I will get into it, but first, before I do, and then I'll get into mine. We'll get into Arsenal's transfer window. Ins, Gabriel Jesus, as Zinchenko's mentioned before. Fabio Vieira, who why not mentioned as well. Matt Turner, Marquinhos, and you know what? This is a new signing, so I'm taking it in William Saliba as well. So we're forward, left back, midfield, attacking midfielder, goalkeeper, a right winger for the future. I'd say not for now. And Saliba as the centre back. And letting players go, this is where it kind of falls short for us, I think, right now. Only let go Matteo Guendouzi and Mavropanos, with Lacazette going out on a free and Austin Trusty going to Birmingham. So, yeah.
Yep.
Talk to me, Ed. What's your thoughts on Arsenal's window?
I think you've signed players in positions that needed upgrades. Gabriel Jesus is a massive upgrade on who you had up front last year. If he plays as the number 9, he's a much better version of what Lacazette could offer you. Link-up play, goal scoring. His goal scoring, I think, per 90 minutes or whatever the stat is incredible. But obviously at Manchester City, the counter argument is that the chances that they produce are exponentially better than most of the rest of the league. But he is a goal scorer. He's a link-up player. He can go left or right if you need him to. If you need to play Eddie up in the middle, Zinchenko, Swiss Army knife, great signing for me. I think you can play him left back. He can fill in at central midfield. He could play left wing if you needed him to. I think that's a very good signing. I don't know much about Marquinhos other than Wolves are interested in him, but I know I know he's a tricky winger. I know he's one for the future. Fabio Vieira is going to eat up some minutes in attacking midfield. Is he like an Ødegaard kind of understudy, or is he a bit different?
I'd say he's a Ødegaard understudy, someone who can rotate with him.
Right, okay. And then you've bought a solid backup goalkeeper. For me, I think you're almost there. I think getting rid of Guendouzi, good decision. Lacazette, releasing him. The only thing is you've still got a little bit of, would you say you've still got a bit of dead wood still hanging around?
Definitely. Torreira, the likes of Torreira, Maitland-Niles, I'd say, Pablo Mari, etc.
Is there no chance with Maitland-Niles? I swear there's a player in there.
It's him. He doesn't want to play. Yeah. Arsenal want to play him at fullback. Arsene Wenger did see him as a fullback, actually. Arteta, he sees him playing more as a fullback. He can play that inverted type, but he doesn't want to play there. He's so focused on playing in midfield, which is beyond me. It's like Oxlade-Chamberlain, but anyways, yeah. I think that's what.
So I think from and just to touch on, I know why not, and King have been going backwards and forwards. I think this is a decent window that I don't think buying 4 cheap players is going to improve your squad. So I think decent or almost there. Almost there probably means you need a couple more players, which is probably why I'd move it down to decent. Would you agree?
Yeah, decent. Let me see what everyone else in the chat is saying as well, because we've got plenty on Arsenal here. Let's have a look. Guys, I've got about 5 more minutes. I know I went on way too long. We have went on. So what I'm going to do is we can talk about Arsenal, talk about Wolves, and then quick fire the rest as well. Apologies, Matt. I know Everton. The rest of them haven't really made too much, apart from Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, they've had a good one, but we'll get into it right now. And I just wanted to ring this up. He's saying Tomiyasu isn't even a right back. He's a CB. Japanese Chambers doing a good job. Whereas Jed Spence, natural right wing back again. How can he be rotated? But it's all about what he is in Arteta's system. Why not? What Zinchenko wasn't a left back at Manchester City. He's gone to left back, won 4 Premier League titles, playing at left back, and playing against Real Madrid, having excellent performances against PSG. It's not about where he's played previously. It's about what this manager sees for him. Just like how Arteta saw Lisandro Martinez as a left back rather than a centre back, which is probably a reason why he went to Man United. But let's see what you guys are saying in here as well. Social says panic stations. King says Arsenal decent, need more ins and outs. Yeah. Almost there, says B&B. Almost there for the Gooners. Any window where you sign 2 world-class players. I have nothing to moan about. This stream's going to be 5 hours long. It's going to be hopefully about 5 or so minutes. I've got 3 minutes until Scotland, to be honest, with a space. What a window. I'm buzzing. Still need a winger. I'll be very happy. I understand what you're saying. A winger and, probably a midfielder as well for me.
Yeah, that's why I put you in almost there.
Almost there. Just need to sell KT and I'll be happy, says Social. It's nice to have that feeling again, Tezzy. It's been too long. Almost there. So Arsenal fans, a lot of them are saying almost there. King's saying decent. What are you saying, Ed? Because I'm saying decent myself.
Yeah, decent or almost there. So I'm happy to go with decent.
Yeah,
I think it's the outs which probably stops it being almost there.
That's it. It's the outs. We got too many outs, guys. When I was mentioning at the start of the stream, it's not just about the ins. If we had all of our outs cleared and we only need about 2 players, then it's almost there. But because we need quite a few outs, I'd say we're decent. So we've done a majority of our players bringing in. But King saying Arsenal will surprise so many teams. I hope you're right. Ed, Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Yeah, panic stations.
Nathan Collins.
Panic stations.
Panic stations.
Genuinely, we have Jimenez is now injured, out for 6 to 8 weeks. He picked up an injury against Besiktas. We're going to play Hwang up front, who can't trap a bag of cement. Neto looks very good. Podensas look very good. But our starting 11 will challenge most teams. The 5 sub rule, we didn't need 3 last year because we didn't have 3.
Yeah.
We brought in 1 player and we've let, I think, at least 9 go. And I think 4 or 5 of them were squad players that played. So, we need. I said today in our group chat that I'd even take Benteke right now because he's got a pulse. So, just because we don't have bodies. We've lost Marcel. He played. Roman Says. Starter, Keanu Hoover, he's an issue with his mentality. We've let some players go out on loan that probably should be on the bench, like Ryan Giles, Dion Sanderson. All have proved it at championship level that they can play there. We've sent some people off to our feeder club at Grasshoppers, and we've let Fabio Silva go to Anderlecht. 30-odd million pounds we've spent on him, and now we have one centre forward's been injured. We've the backup that has been used probably far too much for a kid that's still 19 or just turned 20. We are at panic stations. We need bodies. We need bodies. We need to fill that bench. Not even the starting lineup. We need to fill the bench with at least capable Premier League players.
Definitely. I hear what you're saying. Definitely in panic stations, unfortunately. What about Bournemouth? They've made a few signings in Joe Rothwell being brought in. That's the big one that they really paid attention to, and that's the one that they kept an eye on. Anyone else that's coming for Bournemouth? Let's have a look at this right here. For Bournemouth, Joe Rothwell, Ryan Fredericks, and so that's it really. I guess that's panic stations as well. Thank
It is because I think most of the pundits are saying that they're going straight back down. So the fact that they brought no one in. Yeah.
Do you know what? We might be able to get through the last few, actually. Brentford, what are you saying about them? Aaron Hickey being brought in. I know that's one of the signings that they brought in for sure. Anyone else that they've brought in?
They brought in the keeper, didn't they?
Strakosha, decent goalkeeper.
And then Ben Mee, of course, Burnley. They're the biggest ones that have come in.
I think that's a decent window.
It's decent for Brentford. Yeah, Brentford is decent for Brentford.
Brentford, sorry. Yeah. Decent window. Oh, maybe more to be done because they need a creative midfielder, but we're still saying decent. Are we going to go decent?
Yeah, decent.
Brighton and Hove Albion. So a few signings, not great though. Not a few outgoings. Well, potentially with Bissouma and Cucurella. What's your thoughts on Brighton, Ed?
Yeah, I think if they keep hold of Cucurella, we're talking. Are we talking decent? I don't know any of the players they brought in. They're for two of the teams I don't even know. So Libertad Asuncion, don't know. So that's more to be done or decent at best, isn't it?
Exactly that. So let's say decent, and then we've got the final 4 in Chelsea. I think Chelsea are in panic stations for their targets.
Yep.
Chelsea are certainly in panic stations for me. So much more that they need to do. They need to bring defender in. They still need players that they need to shift on, get out of the club. Alonso and Aspilicueta clearly don't want to be there. Need a striker. Still need to sort out another winger.
The L they took on Lukaku as well. And now he's even trolling them with his squad number. It's mental.
What's his squad number?
90.
Oh, man. Crystal Palace, I think you can definitely put them in decent or almost there. Decent. Still need. What are you thinking that needs to be done for Palace?
I still think they're going to miss the Conor Gallagher bump. They've upgraded in everyone they brought in. Decore, Ebi. How do you say his name? The Derby player. I forgot how you say his name. Yeah, because it's a Nigerian spelling, isn't it?
Yeah,
and Johnston, they're all upgrades on what they had. You're going to hope that Eze comes back fit. We're still waiting on whether Ferguson's ever going to play for them. That'll be like having a new player. But I still think a striker as well for me, I think as well.
There you go. What about Matt's team? Matt in the chat. Everton.
Put them in panic stations and move on.
I'm sorry, Matt. Yeah, you are. Mate, actually, if you have signed McNeil, don't think that's confirmed yet?
It's not. No, none of those things have.
We're still in panic stations. Yeah. They in football, Matt, I'm sorry.
Everton have been at panic stations for about 5 seasons.
Yeah.
So.
Not in that lockdown one where they thought they were going to get Champions League football at one point. True. Where the Carlo and James Rodriguez. Finally.
Matt's in the bunker with me, with Wolves. We're in the bunker together, just looking to pick up anybody's.
See that? No, more to be done. You see, I know Matt's quite... Do you know what? Matt's funny with this because he's balanced. Sometimes, depends what day you catch Matt on. Some days he's really positive about Everton. Some days he's like, I don't rate Anthony Gordon. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what you're getting. Nah, big up Matt, my bro. But I hear what you're saying. More to be done, but it's still panic stations. 3 signings in and more to be made. Panic stations.
Well, 3 signings isn't panic stations. If you're desperate for 3 signings, that's panicking.
No, 3 signings in. That's all they've had. He wants more.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yes. But they've got Ruben Vinagre. You can talk about him first.
Yeah. He'll be great going forward. Rubbish going back.
Tarkowski. And what are you classing?
That's a good player.
Dwight McNeil.
Yeah, but they haven't. Those first 2 and the last one.
Yeah.
The only Tarkowski's definitely signed yet, so that's why it's still panic stations.
Still panic stations. Ilya saying Forest need more signings, more than 11. Interesting. Potentially, maybe we'll see. But what about Fulham? Big up Solo in the place as well. Big up Errol, man.
Well, this one hurts my heart because João Pellini was apparently coming to Wolves until Fulham paid him more money. Andres Pereira, don't sleep on him. I think it may be given some time in the Fulham team. He's another FPL sleeper. I think a lot of people are saying what they haven't done, which is what they did last time, is buy 65 players and hope that it would work, which is a bit what Forest seem to be doing.
What I'm saying then, decent or more?
It's decent. It's decent or more to be done. I don't know. There's a few players in there I don't know anything about, so I'd be guessing.
Yeah, we'll stick them in decent now. Benefit of the doubt. But guys, apologies for the rushed end to the stream right there. There is the tier list. We've gone with Forest completed, Manchester City and Spurs in almost there. So they're the 3 teams, who have had a decent, very, very, very good window so far. We've got decent. We've got quite a few teams in Liverpool, Leeds, Liverpool, West Ham, Brighton, Aston Villa, Arsenal, Brentford, Crystal Palace and Fulham. More to be done still for Leicester, Manchester United, Newcastle United and Southampton. And it's panic stations, guys, for Wolverhampton Wanderers, Bournemouth, Chelsea and Everton. Indeed. Big up know-how in here as well, saying rate Barcelona's transfer window. So far,
unbelievable. Literally
it's unbelievable. Yeah, exactly.
No idea how they're doing it.
Ask the bank manager, B&B. Exactly. Doesn't make sense. Big up Niger, 1 touch as well. Fulham will get relegated again. Big up the panel. Smash the lights, people. Big up to
and we'll be back here tomorrow.
And everyone else who's joined. Yes, Ed, let the people know what we got going tomorrow, bro.
So tomorrow we are rating. Well, we're going to break down every single club with a who to watch out for, who's their star player, and all of those types of things. So it's all building up to next week's big preview show.
Exactly. Listen, Joey's in here as well. Big up STD. He's saying right there, scandalous lot. Big up. He's saying 23 away from the community tab. Come on, guys, let's get the likes. I need you to do me a favor, Joey. I need to get that to community tab ready. Oh, what? 27. You got me really excited then. Oh, thanks. Big up yourself anyway. But take care, guys. Catch us tomorrow. Stay tuned. We're going to probably be on. It feels like even longer, but it's going to be
tomorrow's will be
in depth. We will go through your team, Matt. Don't you worry. In depth, and we'll talk about the squad that he has now, the potential for it, and each and every Premier League team. Guys, take care. Love and peace. Me and Edmin are out. Don't forget, hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. We're out of here. Love to you all. Thank you again.